Folks, these four quarterbacks and where they end up, the need of an NFL quarterback to have a decent year, decent team, obviously is fast and furious. You're not going to win in the NFL with an average quarterback. That's all there is to it. Now, recently, you have found some quarterbacks later and diamonds in the rough later in these drafts. We all know the famous story with Brady. Russell Wilson wasn't exactly a high pick, nor was even a guy like Deshaun Watson. So you don't have to take him right out of the gate. But in this particular scenario, you got four of them available, three high profile, one USC, a Heisman Trophy winner. Everybody's going to grab to go get him. Jets make a trade. Buffalo wants to make trades. All these teams want trades because, my golly, we have to get ourselves a quarterback. Now, listen, I think you do this. I think if you see the problem with if you draft a running back and a running back is a bust, all right, you hurt yourself. You lose a pick right out of the gate, but you can recover. If you draft a quarterback and he's a bust, you lose 5 years. Because you got to play him, and you got to give him a little time. You can't, you don't necessarily play him right away. And then when you do play him, you have to give him a little time. Like Trubisky in Chicago. I mean, nobody knows if he's any good yet. Nobody knows. I mean, if anybody sits there and tells you, including the Bears, that they have found their salvation at a position where they have never had a good QB since Sid Luckman, well, Bobby Douglas. I mean, who? Billy Wade. I go back and look. I mean, they are in a situation where they got their fingers tightly crossed that this Trubisky kid is going to turn out to be good. I saw the Bears play last year. I didn't look at game film. I didn't study it, frame by frame. But I'm not going to sit there and tell you that I think that Trubisky's the answer for a long-term problem in the Windy City. I haven't figured that out yet. I mean, I saw a couple things I liked. I saw a couple things I didn't like. They didn't win enough games. But, a new coach in there, we'll see. But you got to give him a couple of years before you decide if you have the answer there. Look at Ryan Tannehill in Miami. They still don't really know if they have a quarterback. Now, he's been hurt the last 2 years, but nobody's convinced down there in Miami that he's the answer at the position. So that's the problem if you get it wrong at the spot. Because if you get it wrong at quarterback, you will be essentially hurt for about 3 to 5 years. You got to figure, that first year, if you give him a little chance, you see what you got. And then you got to give him at least 2 more years after that, if he's a high first-round pick, just to make sure that, he's developed properly. And then you got to get coaching staffs in there. I mean, running backs, you get the running back, the guy's bad, gets hurt, whatever the case. All right, you lose the number one pick. It's a big blow, but you can recover the following year. You can't do that at this quarterback spot. You can't. And that is why, if it's me, I am going to be very, very careful of drafting a quarterback with that high first-round pick unless I am as convinced as I possibly can be convinced that this person is the answer for my long-term problem at that position. Simple. Now, a lot of people think, I heard Sean Payton say, I've heard Phil Simms say, we're going to hear him in 12 minutes. He loves the guys. Who knows? I have no idea. I saw Baker Mayfield play 1,000,000 games. I got things I like. I got things I don't like. I didn't study it film by film, frame by frame. I didn't go look at game tape. I didn't go talk to any coaches. I watched the games with my own eyes, and I had a little sense of if I think he's a good player. I saw Darnold play, probably 5 to 7 games in the last couple years. I mean, I got a sense of him too. Things I like, things I don't like. Rosen, probably not quite as many as Darnold, but I've seen Rosen play in bad situations and in good. Texas A&M early in the year, Memphis early in the year, USC. I've seen him play. Texas A&M the year before that. I've seen him play 4 or 5 times. I got a little feel of him. Some good, some bad. And the same thing, nothing with Josh Allen. I don't like Lamar Jackson that much. I am not going to use a high first-round pick and a Michael Vick clone. That I'm not doing because I don't think Michael Vick was a good NFL quarterback, a guy you can win with consistently. So, and that is the reason why if it was my team and I had the first or second pick and I was the Cleveland Browns or the Giants, I am taking Barkley with that first pick. Now, Chubb, I have to see a little more. I mean, how many times did we watch NC State play last year? I mean, I focused in on a defensive lineman. I mean, not many. I don't have the game tape. I'm not spending hour upon hour, in the projector room getting a sense. But if it was me, I'm taking Barkley. I think Barkley, from what I read, from what I've seen with my own eyes, a great running back is a great running back, and he can do a little bit of everything. He's graded out superbly. Seems like a kid who's not going to get himself in trouble, a la Elliott. Gil Brandt, who loves him, who's been doing this for 63 years now. 63 years. I mean, that's 1955, 56. Here's a guy that was looking at Jim Brown out of Syracuse. And if he tells you he's the best back he's ever seen out of college, out of 493 previous backs, that's enough for me. And I would take him number one. Now, again, I don't think Cleveland will do that because I think the Browns are very nervous that they feel that even Dorsey, I think he knows he's got to come out with a quarterback in this draft, and he'd rather have that choice of 4 instead of that choice of 2. So I don't think he's going to take Barkley. I think it would be the smart call. I'd rather have Barkley and Josh Allen than instead of, say, Chubb and, Baker Mayfield. To me, there's not a huge difference between any of these quarterbacks. You could take any one of them, and you still would have your fingers tightly crossed. Barkley, there's no fingers being crossed. No matter how bad the selection would be at 4, if you were Cleveland, you knew you would hit a home run at 1 unless you got hurt. And backs can get hurt, Kajana Carter. So that's got to put that in the equation. You're not going to have him for 10 years necessarily. But I would take him. And I don't think the Giants are taking a quarterback or 2. I don't care if Johnny Unitas is sitting there. I don't think they're taking a quarterback. I don't think the Giants want the aggravation. They have a quarterback there who still feels he's in his prime. The coaching staff loves him. The owner loves him. The old general manager who drafted him still is falling in love with him. The Gettleman who worked for the old GM loves him too. He's got a couple of years to go. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form the Giants are taking a quarterback, even if Darnold is there at number 2. I don't think they're going to do so. I think the issue with the Giants is simply if, in fact, the Browns if the Browns take Barkley at 1 and somehow leave all the quarterbacks sitting there where the Giants trade with somebody to get multiple picks so that somebody could have their first crack at a QB. Buffalo, Denver, Arizona, Miami. That's the only thing that would prevent the Giants from taking Barkley. Other than that, I think Barkley is going to be a New York Giant at the end of the night. I really do. I think the Jets want Mayfield. Wrinkle if, in fact, the Browns take him. I have no idea where the Jets feel after that. They'd have their choice of 3 guys, but it sounds like they wanted Mayfield. Then they have a choice of their other 3. Would they be happy if Donald fell in their lap? That might very well be the case. Now, if Mayfield goes 1 and then Buffalo... if Mayfield goes 1, John's going to take Barkley. So I don't think Buffalo or anybody else can be able to jump up. But then the Jets don't get their quarterback. Then we're sitting there and looking at the Browns, probably take Chubb, and then we have a little free-for-all to see what quarterback goes where. Because if that's the case, you got 2 quarterbacks left heading to Denver at 5. Because Chubb goes to Cleveland, Giants take Barkley, and you'd have 2 quarterbacks to go, and you're at Denver at number 5. Then what? Calls in a sec. Good to have you aboard. Mad Dog Unleashed.